Welcome everyone, this is Yvonne Davis. I am a psychic tarot astrologer and I have been away for a while. If you've been paying attention to my channel, you've probably noticed that. That's because I have been working on a master's degree, and as the semester moved into its last weeks, I was so busy I just could not do both. I couldn't focus on the political tarot astrology videos and my schoolwork and everything else that I was doing. So plus the fact that I had said in some of my earlier videos that things would start to really heat up when we got to the full moon at the end of June and then again at the end of July. And actually I've looked all the way into November, and I see that we have significant things happening in June, July, August, September, and November. And I did do a video on the election day in November, which was quite shocking. So if you haven't seen it, or if you want to see it again, I'll put a link in the description box below and also up in the corner. So you can check that out. Anyway, I was trying to decide if I wanted to do a video that went all the way and talked about all of these months and the things that were going to happen. It was just too much because so many things can unfold that it changes the map. So for example, you might see something that looks challenging, but it's so far in the future, you don't know exactly how that challenge will manifest because you don't know what has happened yet. So I think it's easier to just only go about a month or two in advance. Now the election obviously went quite far in advance, but I wasn't worried about that because of the fact that Uranus is involved. And as I've said before with Uranus, it's unpredictable. So regardless of how close we might be, I wouldn't be making predictions about how that's going to unfold, but I wanted you to see that it is going to be incredibly dramatic, whatever happens. And it will bring shocks and surprises. And I think women are going to play a big role in that election. But anyway, I'll save that and let you just look at the video yourselves, okay? So for today, I'm just going to talk about the full moon on June 27th. And I'm making this video on May 13th. So that's still 6 weeks ahead. But I didn't see any alignments that I really wanted to look at because they were all encapsulated in that one chart. And so when we talk about the chart, you'll be able to see a lot of things that will be moving toward, that will really come to fruition with that full moon on June 27th. And, you know, we'll get more answers to our questions. So, but I also wanted to say that because of the fact that some things may be more smooth here in this month, and the aspects may be a little more favorable, and I have actually been noticing that, even though there's still a lot of information coming to light around Michael Cohen, we haven't actually seen any evidence yet connecting what Michael Cohen was doing with Donald Trump. So, so that's basically, I think, what people are waiting for, is to see, will this evidence emerge? And when will Robert Mueller bring out into the public more indictments? So we're just waiting for that. So I wanted to let you know that, you know, if you've been feeling nervous about how this thing's going to unfold, I know I have been, you know, I have some fear and anxiety around that because it affects our country. And, you know, a lot of us just want to know what's going to happen. And I think sometimes also there can be some anxiety because the Republicans are getting really desperate to shut down the Mueller investigation, which from the perspective of a lot of people, we're thinking, why would you shut that down? Wouldn't you want to know the truth? Don't you want to know how Russians may have interfered in our elections? This is important. We need to know. We need this information. And if people have committed crimes, they need to be indicted. And so, so there's a huge portion, I think the majority of people in this country want to see this investigation brought to its natural conclusion. But there are many Republicans who support Donald Trump because he's, he's passing policies that and putting into law things that they want related to their Christian fundamentalist faith, or having to do with their feelings around racism. I want to be really careful because I think that there can be a lot of issues around immigration, taxes, and things like that I don't want to create enemy images and say that if you want to talk about the subjects like tax cuts and immigration, that you're automatically a white supremacist, because that would be ridiculous. So it's a little challenging because there is racism mixed in it, but I don't want to couch it solely in those terms. But the fact is that there are a lot of people who identify with being Republican and having traditional conservative values that are getting what they want with Trump, and that's why they support him. And they don't want to look at these potential crimes that have been committed, because they don't want to acknowledge the reality that this person that they believe is going to give them what they want, and he is showing there is evidence he has passed laws and done things that are in alignment with what they want. So they want to see him stay in power, and they don't want to look at other facts that are coming to light around very unethical and even illegal and possibly even treasonous behavior. So only the investigations will tell us the truth about what really happened and bring all of that to light for everyone to see. So anyway, I just wanted to let anybody who's been feeling some anxiety about how this is all going to unfold, is the investigation going to play itself out, or is it going to be shut down by these desperate Republicans who are afraid of it? What I want to say is I think there will be a period up until June 27th when things shift that may feel like it's turning in Trump's favor, because of the fact that things are actually going to ease for him a little bit up until that point. Not completely, but a little bit. You're going to see more Republicans pressing for closure of this investigation, saying things in the media like nothing's come from it, it's a waste of time and money, it's ridiculous, it's a witch hunt. They're going to continue to say all of these things, and there will be those people who will believe that that's true. And also with Donald Trump's interactions with North Korea, which are definitely, much more favorable than they were before, when we were watching North Korea in its ballistic missile testing. That was very scary. And so now that these talks are going on, people are feeling much more favorable to Donald Trump. So I wanted to let you know that there probably will be an easing up. And we might think that this investigation isn't going to run its course. But in fact, more things will come to light. And it's really sad, in fact, because, if people could do things on the up and up and not feel the need to break laws or to ignore facts, then and to speak with each other, to be willing to listen to each other instead of being so polarized, maybe we could find ways to move in a direction that is for the highest good of all concerned. But unfortunately, because people have done things the wrong way and they've taken a path that was used illicit measures and broke laws, that karma will come back to haunt them, and that's just reality. So having said all that, I'm going to take you to the chart now. So let me go ahead and pull that up for you to look at. Alrighty, here we go. So this is the full moon chart for June 27th. And I said that, that's still about 6 weeks away or so. And so you might be, wondering what's going to happen with all of this. And so I wanted you to see this because this is where we will reach some kind of culmination. It's not to say that nothing will happen between now and then. It's just that it might not feel as intense as some of the things that we have seen happening. I think it will still be intense on people who are already under the spotlight, like Michael Cohen and Paul Manafort and other people who have been indicted. We might still see things, more things coming to light where they're concerned. But as far as Donald Trump, I wanted to show you how this full moon lands on his natal chart, because I think that this will be one of those moments of truth regarding Donald Trump. So what we see here at the full moon, we see the sun here in the 12th house, right over his Mercury. And then in the 6th house, by the way, the 6th house rules work. So that would be somebody's job. So for example, Donald Trump's job right now is being president of the United States. So the fact that the full moon is in the 6th house of work means that it does impact his work and his job as president of the United States. And the full moon is conjunct Saturn in the 6th house. And over here, again, the sun is conjunct his Mercury. So let me say a little bit about what the 12th house represents. The 12th house represents things that are hidden. And it also represents endings and losses. It's also a very spiritual house. The reason why it's conjoined with matters of endings, loss, things that are secret and hidden, is because often there is the shadow side in which we have to experience pain and loss and grief. And we need to experience things coming out of hiding in order for us to be brought to the light, so to speak, the spiritual light. And the fact that Donald Trump has his Mercury, also his Saturn and Venus, in the 12th house means that, especially with Mercury, means that he tends to keep much of the truth hidden. And we know that about him. It's been shown categorically, all the evidence. I mean, you can see him lie from one sentence to the next, from one day to the next. And, there's so much evidence of it, of him being filmed and recorded, saying things that are the exact opposite of each other. And that is an indication of a textbook pathological liar, because it's not even that he knows that he's lying. When someone is a pathological liar, they actually don't know anymore what the truth is. The only thing they know, and this is also true in terms of someone who is narcissistic, is that their moment-to-moment reality, whatever serves them, is what becomes their truth. So when he's speaking, he's not speaking in terms of an objective truth or a shared reality. When he speaks such that it is the truth for him in that moment. Whatever serves him in that moment becomes his truth. So he isn't grounded in a kind of objective reality or shared reality like most of us are. His truth is like the shifting sands, where they just go wherever the wind blows. Whatever serves him in any given moment is his truth. And this obviously does not work well when you're president of the United States, because the president is someone that we expect to be a moral leader. We expect that person to be a moral and ethical beacon, you know, someone who shines the light of the values of our country, which are encoded in law. And those are based on evidence, things that have been thought through and argued and debated and then decided and codified, and that becomes our shared reality. And so to have someone who thinks truth is whatever works for him in any given moment doesn't fit well with the position of President of the United States, which is supposed to be this beacon who represents the laws and morals and ethical standards of our country. So when you see Mercury in the 12th house, what you see is someone whose thinking and speaking and communicating is always, the truth of it is always hidden. And I don't think even Donald Trump knows what his authentic self is, other than whatever serves him at any given moment. But that's not what I would call authenticity. So the fact that you have the sun conjunct Mercury here with the moon conjunct, the full moon conjunct Saturn over here, what that tells me is something about this problem of the way Donald Trump thinks and speaks and communicates with the world is not going to be conducive with his role as President of the United States. And that's really fundamentally what this is all about. You know, the investigation to understand what how the Russians interfered with our election, yes, that is fundamental. But we all know that the other thing that is fundamental in all of this is, has the President of the United States committed crimes? And, you know, do we consider lying a crime? Maybe not, but it's still unethical. And so we have a president who is not fulfilling the role of being a beacon of truth and justice and standing up for the rule of law and telling the truth. And I think that that's going to be a serious, serious problem that, well, it is already a problem, but we will see another sort of phase in this whole process when we reach that full moon on June 27th, because full moons bring things to fruition, and they light things up, they illuminate things so that we can see things. Truths come to light, information comes to light, not just externally, but also from our subconscious. Secrets tend to come out. And the fact that it is conjunct Saturn means that those truths will often be very difficult truths, because Saturn is all about hard, cold reality. It brings you down into hard, cold reality, whether you like it or not. And so whenever you have a moon conjunct Saturn, it is very difficult. And not just for Donald Trump, but for everyone, because this configuration of the full moon conjunct Saturn is in the sky. So everyone's going to feel that a little bit. But certain people will feel it more than others, and I think Donald Trump is one of them, because of the fact that it happens right over his Mercury in his 12th house. And what it's questioning is the way that he is not capable of telling the truth. That's part of the problem here, and it impacts his job as President of the United States. Well, the other thing we see here in this configuration is that it's squaring his Neptune in the 3rd house. And by the way, the 3rd house is the natural ruler of Mercury, which is all about the way that we think and communicate. So it's how we send information out into the world and how we take it into ourselves. So the way we think, the way we learn, the way we communicate, all of those things are controlled by Mercury and controlled by the 3rd house. So the interesting thing we see here is that we have Neptune. He has Neptune in his 3rd house. So Neptune is the natural ruler of the 12th house, which again, as I said, can cause deception, deceit, delusion, things that are hidden, secrets, all of this stuff is the shadow side of Neptune. And so he not only has Mercury in the 12th house ruled by Neptune, he also has Neptune retrograde in the 3rd house. And these two are squaring. And squaring usually means that they are not in harmony. And so he has a very difficult time understanding what truth is. And that is just a fact. And it's very sad. You know, I don't think we need to demonize him. We just need to see that this is actually a real problem for him. It's actually pathological. He literally does not know what reality is. And when I say that, I would say he's delusional, and he can often be deceitful without even realizing it because he doesn't know what truth is. But also you know, I don't want to say like he's not psychotic. He's functionally delusional. I guess that's the way I would put it. He's pathological because he doesn't know what truth is, but he manages to function even in the midst of his dysfunction. But I think, you know, he's reached a point in his life where this just simply isn't going to work for him anymore. This dysfunctional way of existing in the world is not going to work for him anymore. And that's part of what this alignment here, it's called a T-square when you have this shape, because you have the full moon crossing here. That's called an opposition. A full moon is always in opposition, but as you see, the full moon conjunct Saturn, which flavors that full moon in a very usually unpleasant way, is opposite his Mercury. So you've got this opposition here and then a square to his Neptune in the 3rd house. And that's called a T-square. So that's a very important alignment that we will see on June 27th. The other things I want to bring to your attention are the North Node, which has moved into conjunction with his Pluto already. Pluto is about how we relate to power. And Donald Trump has always had a relationship to power in which he sees himself as above and others under him. So it's a power over, power under dynamic. And Pluto wants us to move into a power with dynamic. And so he's having to learn that this is the direction of his evolution. As you can see, the North Node indicates the direction of one's evolution. And so what Donald Trump needs is to learn how to be in a power with relationship instead of power over, power under. So that's what the North Node is trying to teach him. The other interesting thing you see at this full moon is Ceres conjunct his ascendant. And if you've been paying attention to my previous videos, what you will see is that the Ceres keeps showing up in very profound positions. And I have not been able to fully sort out whether Ceres is females, women, because normally Ceres is the mother of Persephone, and there's the whole story behind that, the whole mythology behind that, which also brings Pluto into the picture. So it could represent women and the way that he has related to women, which has been also very dysfunctional, and that's coming back to haunt him. It's these roosters, you know, come back, and or skeletons coming out of the closet, whatever kind of metaphor you want to use. Karma, it's karma. And I also had the thought that this is a scythe or sickle, the shape of a scythe or a sickle, which has long been the symbol of Russia. So it's interesting that both of these things, it's like there's two sides to the pressure on him. One has been the whole Russian influence, and did he know anything about it? Did he have any collusion? When and where did he know? What roles did he play related to that Russian influence? And then the other side of it has been all this information that has come to light that was really triggered by his dysfunctional relationships with women and the things that he tried to do to get that information hidden, which is now coming to light, which is also bringing so many other things to light that are just really sordid. So it could represent both, in fact, and that is conjunct his ascendant at the same time as this full moon. Now, the next thing I want to point out to you is Mars has now, like I said, I'm recording this on May 13th. It is now moving toward a conjunction with the South Node. It's currently in the 29th degree of Capricorn, but by the time we get to this full moon in June, it will have conjoined the South Node, moved past the South Node, and is now in retrograde. And it turned retrograde at 9 degrees Aquarius, 13 minutes. So just prior to this full moon, it turned retrograde and will pass over the South Node again. Now, this is very important because I think that the Mars in his chart actually represents all of his legal battles, because his ninth house, which rules law and legal battles and courts and all of that, is ruled by Aries. And Mars is the ruler of Aries. So that means that Mars in his chart represents the ninth house. So that would mean all of his legal battles are ruled by Mars. So the fact that Mars is making this journey, conjoining the South Node, which is all about karma from the past. It's things you've done in the past that you need to sort out in order to move in the direction you're supposed to be moving in, which is ruled by the North Node. So as I said, the North Node in his first house is talking about his relationship with power and changing that to a power with relationship. Over here with Mars representing also power, but in this case representing these legal battles, how it's playing itself out legally, conjoining the South Node means that anything he's done in the past, all of his past karma, is coming back to be sorted out and for him to have to deal with it now. That's what the conjunction of Mars and South Node in his chart is all about, is the past karma, the things he's done in the past. He has to face up to that now and pay the piper, so to speak. It's also interesting that Mars is retrograde. So from this point where it is at 29 degrees Capricorn, which is again his sixth house of work, and Capricorn rules the government, and so that's where it is right now on May 13th when I'm recording this video, and it will move into Aquarius. It will conjoin the South Node, cross over, and then turn retrograde at 9 degrees Aquarius, 13 minutes, and then it will cross back over and conjoin the South Node, come all the way back into Capricorn before it goes direct again. So the other interesting thing about this is that it's in his seventh house, and the seventh house rules long-term meaningful relationships, and that includes open enemies, and he has plenty of them. So he's going to have to face his past karma around all the things that he's done, and you know, all of these relationships, both people who support him and his open enemies, and it will be fought out largely in the courts, but also, of course, in the media. So we have here Uranus now in Taurus at this point, and it's at the top of his chart. And so we will see how the shift of Uranus into Taurus is impacting things. I'm thinking generally it will impact all of us in the realm of financial institutions, financial instruments, anything to do with finances and the economy and the earth itself. because Taurus rules the earth and it rules our financial well-being. And Uranus up here at the top of the chart is all about revolution. It's about earthquakes. It turns things upside down. It brings shocking revolutions. It's the thunderbolt that destroys the lightning-struck tower. It crumbles things. It breaks things up. It turns things upside down. It's shocking. And so there will be some turmoil where that's related. And that will also be in square to this the South Node conjunct Mars. So this is going to be very disruptive. That's, it's just a truth we have to acknowledge and face that in order for all of this corruption and illegal behavior, immoral behavior, unethical behavior, and just plain dysfunction, all of this needs to come to light and get itself sorted out so that we can be a healthier country from our very foundations and from the highest office of this country. This is a necessary cleansing. All right, so I'm going to stop there because, as I said, there's so much information, and I have seen that there will be dramatic moments all the way through every single month. Things are still happening in this month of May, and then we'll have that full moon at the end of June, another profound full moon at the end of July, and which is also an eclipse, and then we'll have Mars going direct, and we'll have Mercury going direct, and then we have we'll have more powerful things happening in August, September, October, and then the elections in November. So that's like almost 6 months worth of information, because this is recording is in May. So we've got May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Yeah, so that's like 6 months of information, and I just think it's too much to pack into one video. This video is already getting pretty long. So so I will just leave you with that, just a quick summary, that I think things are kind of in limbo right now, although I think things will still be revealed regarding other people who have been indicted, or more things coming to light related to Michael Cohen and other people who have been, kind of like the reality stars in this whole reality TV drama that is called our government now. More stuff will come to light. But in terms of how we will see things unfolding with the Mueller investigation into Russian influence in our elections and how that relates to Donald Trump and whatever role Donald Trump has played in terms of how he got himself into this position of being president of the United States. Did he break some laws? That I don't think we're going to really see until we get closer to the June 27th full moon. So I would just say, just be patient. It will all eventually reveal itself, and then we'll see how the chips land. So that's it for today, and thank you for sticking with me. Sorry for the huge gap, but like I said, I was working on my degree. And it looks like I have a phone call, so I will start moving on to other things in my day. And I hope that all of you have a wonderful day. I hope that this information was helpful to you and brings some relief to you. I know for some people it's not going to be a relief, but I just think we got to know the truth one way or the other. Even if we don't like it, we got to know. So that's it for now, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. I will for sure be doing another video as we get closer to July 27th, and possibly in between if something comes alive. So thanks for sticking with me, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.